There are few things more powerful than raising your hands to Allah and pouring out the deepest desires of your heart. Every one of us has made a dua that brought tears to our eyes. Every one of us has experienced moments when we felt helpless, knowing that no one could solve our problem except Allah. We ask, we hope, we wait, and sometimes we wonder, has Allah accepted my dua? Is my prayer being answered? Or am I still waiting for a response? The beautiful reality is that Allah hears every sincere call. Not a single whisper escapes His knowledge. Not a single tear falls without Him knowing its reason. When a believer turns to Allah with sincerity, humility, and hope, that dua never goes unnoticed. However, many people assume that acceptance only means receiving exactly what they asked for, exactly when they asked for it. But Allah's mercy and wisdom are far greater than our limited understanding. Sometimes the signs of acceptance appear long before the actual blessing arrives. Sometimes Allah begins working within your heart before He changes what is happening around you. Sometimes He gives you peace while the storm is still raging. Sometimes He strengthens your faith while you are still waiting for the answer. And sometimes the very fact that you continue turning to Allah despite the delay is a sign that He is drawing you closer to Him. The believer understands that Allah's answers come in different forms. A delay is not necessarily a rejection. A closed door is not necessarily the end of the story. What appears to be silence may actually be preparation. What feels like waiting may actually be Allah arranging something far better than what you imagined. Today, let us reflect on some of the beautiful signs that begin to appear when Allah accepts a person's dua, and how His response often unfolds in ways that are far more amazing than we could ever expect. One of the first signs that Allah has accepted your dua is that He draws your heart closer to Him through increased faith, patience, and trust. Many people think that the acceptance of a dua begins when they receive exactly what they asked for. They imagine that the only proof of acceptance is the arrival of the blessing itself. However, Allah's wisdom is much greater than that. Sometimes the answer to a dua begins long before the result becomes visible. It begins inside the heart. Think about the moments when you feel closest to Allah. Often, they come during times of need, when life is comfortable and everything is going according to plan. People sometimes become distracted. They become busy with the world and forget to turn to Allah as often as they should. But when difficulties arrive, the heart begins searching for its Creator. A person starts making sincere dua, praying with greater concentration, and placing their hopes entirely in Allah. These moments create a connection that can become one of the greatest blessings in a believer's life. When Allah wants good for a person, He allows them to experience the sweetness of turning back to Him. The believer who once prayed quickly now takes time in prayer. The believer who once made occasional dua now speaks to Allah throughout the day. The believer who once felt distant from worship now finds comfort in remembering Allah. This transformation is not something small. It is a sign of Allah's mercy and care. Many people focus so much on the blessing they are asking for that they fail to notice the changes happening within themselves. Perhaps they began making dua for financial ease, but during that process, they developed stronger faith. Perhaps they prayed for a solution to a personal problem, but through the waiting period, they learned patience and trust. Perhaps they asked Allah to remove a hardship, but instead of removing it immediately, Allah strengthened their heart to face it with confidence and peace. This is one of the most beautiful aspects of dua. It does not only change circumstances, it changes people. A believer who sincerely turns to Allah is rarely the same person afterward. Their perspective begins to shift. They start understanding that Allah's wisdom is greater than their own plans. They become more patient when things do not happen immediately. They become more grateful for blessings they once overlooked. Patience itself can be a sign of Allah's acceptance. Before turning sincerely to Allah, a person may have become frustrated easily whenever things did not go their way. They may have lost hope quickly when facing delays. Yet after continuously making dua and relying on Allah, they find themselves becoming calmer. They are still waiting, but they are waiting differently. Their heart is no longer filled with panic. Instead, it is filled with trust. This trust does not mean they stop making effort. Islam teaches believers to work hard and take practical steps toward their goals. However, trust means understanding that the final outcome belongs to Allah. A person continues striving while knowing that Allah will provide what is best at the best time. Sometimes Allah delays a blessing because He wants to increase a person's faith first. Imagine receiving a great blessing without having the spiritual strength to appreciate it properly. Imagine achieving something you desperately wanted, but lacking the gratitude necessary to use it correctly. Allah, in His wisdom, often prepares the heart before delivering the blessing. This preparation can take many forms. A believer may begin reading more Quran. They may develop a stronger relationship with prayer. They may become more conscious of their actions and choices. They may find themselves avoiding sins they once struggled with. These changes are not random. They are signs that Allah is guiding them closer to Him. Another sign is that a person's reliance upon people decreases while their reliance upon Allah increases. Many of us naturally look to people for solutions. We seek advice, support, and assistance from others, which is completely acceptable. However, there comes a point where a believer realizes that every solution ultimately comes from Allah. People may be a means, but Allah is the source. When this understanding settles in the heart, peace begins to replace anxiety. The believer no longer feels completely dependent upon circumstances. They no longer place all their hopes in a specific person, opportunity, or outcome. Their hope becomes connected to Allah. This is a powerful transformation because it protects the heart from disappointment and strengthens faith during difficult times. Faith often grows most during periods of waiting. Waiting can be difficult because human beings naturally want immediate answers. We live in a world where speed is valued. We want quick results and instant solutions, yet Allah often teaches patience through delay. The delay is not necessarily a rejection. In many cases, it is a process of spiritual growth. A believer may initially make dua only because they want a specific outcome. Over time, however, they begin to enjoy the act of speaking to Allah itself. Their relationship with their Creator deepens. They discover comfort in prayer, peace in remembrance, and strength in trust. Even before receiving what they asked for, they have already gained something precious. This closeness to Allah is among the greatest gifts a person can receive. Worldly blessings come and go. Circumstances change. Opportunities appear and disappear. But a strong relationship with Allah remains valuable in every stage of life. It provides guidance during confusion, comfort during sadness, and hope during uncertainty. There are people who look back on difficult periods of their lives and realize that those moments brought them closer to Allah than ever before. At the time, they wanted only for the hardship to end. Later, they recognized that the experience increased their faith, strengthened their character, and transformed their relationship with their Creator. The believer who notices increased faith, greater patience, and deeper trust should recognize these as blessings. They are signs that Allah is working within the heart. They are signs that the process of answering the dua may already be underway. While the visible result may not have arrived yet, Allah may already be granting something even more valuable. The heart that once felt distant now feels connected. The heart that once felt restless now feels calmer. The heart that once relied entirely on its own plans now relies upon Allah. This journey is itself a gift, and it reflects the mercy of a Lord who not only answers prayers, but also nurtures the hearts of those who call upon Him with sincerity and hope. Sometimes Allah answers your dua by changing you before changing your circumstances, preparing you for the blessing that is on its way. This is one of the most beautiful realities of faith. Yet it is also one of the most overlooked. Many of us make dua with a specific picture in our minds. We ask Allah for something and expect the answer to appear in a certain way. We focus on the result we want to see, while Allah focuses on something even greater. He focuses on the person who will receive that blessing. Human beings often think they are ready for everything they ask for. We pray for success, but we may not yet have the wisdom to handle it. We pray for wealth, but we may not yet have the gratitude to protect us from arrogance. We pray for opportunities, but we may not yet have the patience to make the most of them. We pray for a change in our circumstances, while Allah knows that a change in our hearts must come first. Imagine a farmer planting a seed in the ground. The farmer does not expect fruit the next day. Before the fruit appears, there is a process taking place beneath the surface. Roots begin to grow. Strength develops where nobody can see it. The foundation is being built before the visible results arrive. If the fruit appeared before the roots were ready, the plant would not survive. In many ways, Allah deals with us similarly. Before granting certain blessings, He develops the roots of faith, patience, gratitude, and trust within our hearts. This is why some of the most important answers to our du'as are invisible at first. A person may be praying for relief from anxiety, and before the situation changes, Allah grants them inner strength. Another person may be praying for success, and before success arrives, Allah teaches them discipline and perseverance. Someone else may be praying for a righteous spouse, and before that person enters their life, Allah helps them become more mature, more patient, and more prepared for the responsibilities of marriage. At times, believers become discouraged because they focus only on what has not changed. They look at their circumstances and say, "My problem is still here. My prayer has not been answered." Yet if they looked closely, they might notice that they themselves are changing. They are stronger than they used to be. They are closer to Allah than they were before. They are handling difficulties with more patience. They are responding to challenges with greater wisdom. These changes are not accidents. They are signs that Allah is working in their lives. One of the greatest signs of hope is realizing that Allah never wastes a sincere dua. Every prayer you have whispered in the middle of the night has been heard. Every tear that fell while asking Allah for help was seen by Him. Every moment when you raised your hands and called upon Him with sincerity was recorded. Allah is not ignoring you. He is not unaware of your situation. He knows exactly what you need, exactly when you need it, and exactly how to deliver it in the best possible way. There are times when we become so focused on reaching the destination that we fail to appreciate the journey. Yet the journey is often where the greatest transformation takes place. Consider the person who has been making dua for years. During those years, they have learned reliance upon Allah. They have discovered the power of patience. They have developed resilience through hardship. They have experienced moments of closeness to Allah that they may never have known otherwise. These are priceless gifts. The amazing thing about Allah's mercy is that He often gives believers more than they originally asked for. A person may ask for one specific blessing, but Allah grants them that blessing along with stronger faith, deeper gratitude, and a closer relationship with Him. The delay that once seemed painful eventually becomes part of a beautiful story that reveals Allah's wisdom. Many believers can look back on their lives and identify moments when they thought Allah was delaying an answer. At the time they felt confused and frustrated. They wondered why things were not happening. Then, months or years later, they realized that Allah had been preparing them all along. Had they received the blessing earlier, they might not have appreciated it. They might not have been ready for it. They might even have been harmed by receiving it too soon. This understanding fills the heart with hope because it reminds us that delays are not always negative. Sometimes they are acts of mercy. Sometimes Allah is protecting us from something we cannot see. Sometimes He is preparing circumstances that are far better than what we imagined. Sometimes He is preparing us to receive a blessing in a way that will bring lasting benefit. Hope grows when we remember who Allah is. He is the most merciful. He is the most wise. He is the most generous. He does not withhold goodness from His servants without reason. Every decision He makes is based on perfect knowledge and perfect wisdom. While we see only a small part of the picture, Allah sees everything. This is why believers never allow temporary delays to destroy their hope. They continue making dua. They continue trusting Allah. They continue believing that something good is being written for them. They understand that the same Allah who answered their prayers in the past is fully capable of answering their prayers today. Perhaps right now you are waiting for something important. Maybe you have been making the same dua for weeks, months, or even years. Perhaps there are moments when you feel tired and wonder whether anything is changing. If that is the case, remember that Allah may already be answering your prayer in ways you cannot yet see. He may be strengthening your faith. He may be increasing your patience. He may be protecting you from harm. He may be arranging circumstances behind the scenes. He may be preparing a blessing greater than the one you originally imagined. What feels like waiting may actually be preparation. What feels like silence may actually be Allah working quietly in your favor. What feels like a closed door may simply be a reminder that Allah is guiding you toward a better one. The blessing you are asking for may be closer than you think. And while you are waiting for Allah to change your circumstances, He may already be transforming your heart into something stronger, wiser, and more beautiful than it has ever been before.